Hello everybody, thanks for watching this video. This video is pretty much my progression in boating. I started out with no boating experience, didn't grow up with any boats, and decided to buy a jet ski for surfing and trying to spearfish, and that wasn't quite my ideal because a lot of seasickness, no place to chill. Moved on to a 14-foot aluminum, kind of like a lake boat. People told me don't take it out in the ocean. I did, and it's very unstable. It got some fish on it, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. And eventually I bought this 13-foot Boston Whaler, which was actually recommended to me from the start. I should have just listened. But it's very stable. I love the boat, but we were getting cold, so I decided to make a pilot house during the pandemic. And this video is pretty much the kind of a video of making this pilot house and all the challenges that I encountered. I made it with my dad, so we kind of overcame those challenges together, and now it's like the ultimate spearfishing, lobstering, crabbing boat. So thanks for watching.
So funny story, when I first met Megan, I thought it'd be a good idea to take her out on the jet ski. Get on the freeway, I get a flat, I go to change the flat with these spares that the guy who sold me a jet ski gave me. The hubs don't fit. So we ended up going to West Marine. The sheriff told us we could leave the jet ski on there for 4 hours. And my credit card gets rejected, so Megan had to pay. I was embarrassed. We still ended up going on the jet ski, and she sucked up a bunch of seaweed, and we puttered back to shore right before the sun went down. So that was a hell of a date. Also, when I first got the Boston Whaler, I was driving home and the hub completely broke, almost left me stranded. So I learned how to fix that. Basically, owning the jet ski and my other boat and this boat taught me how to maintain a trailer and how to maintain a boat on my own. So pretty thankful that I got to learn, and a lot of good times had on the boat, as you can see, until one day we're about to get out on the harbor and the axle snapped. So I had to end up getting got the boat towed to my parents' house, and I ordered a new axle and new leaf springs. Everything was so rusted out. Changed out the axle, the new one, new leaf springs. These things are bad too. Got brand new ones. And my boat is ready to go. Taking a day off to go fishing. It's beautiful out today. Of course, once I got everything working really well, I decided I wanted something different because I was getting cold while we were going spearfishing, and I decided I wanted to build a pilot house. So here I am starting the disassemble process. And once I got everything out, I was committed. Started out by sanding, patching the holes, and repainting the interior of my hull. Once that started, made a little cardboard cutout. This was 1/10 scale, and cut out foam, polyethylene foam at work to the right shape. And this is kind of the core of the pilot house. I looked up all over Google on how to bond polyethylene foam to fiberglass, and I couldn't find anything. So I had to experiment a lot with different types of glues. Eventually I did figure it out, and bonded the pieces together, mounted it on the boat just to see how it works. During the time, I picked up the motor, a chair, picked up some aluminum posts to use as the frame, which we used bolts to bolt them in because I don't have a welder. Had to get a little creative with this. Luckily I had my dad to help me on this because it was kind of a pain to do, and some of it I needed somebody else to help me out. Made the anchors out of wood and had this quick release pin so we could take the frame out if there happened to be some emergency or something. My neighbor was tripping out. He was all worried that the boat was going to flip over from the wind. So made this little safety mechanism. And it was coming right along, you know. The hardest part was probably getting the frame straight, since every single bolt you would tighten would affect how the other bolts would, you know, be aligned. So eventually got it right. Cut out the windows on the foam. Added a little hatch on top. Here's the windows open. Added a hatch on the front so I could take the anchor out. And it was coming right along. Then it was time to start the fiberglassing.
Got the whole boat fiberglassed. Every inch of it. Such a pain in the ass that it's finally time to add the resin.
This was so hard because I could not get the fiberglass to stick to this foam. It took a lot of glue and different types of glue to do this, and finally got the resin on to harden it and painted it a nice turquoise blue. And then it was time to add the windows. And this again was difficult to source the windows because it was during the pandemic and every grocery store wanted this Lexan glass. But ended up getting it, made these little wood frames and bolted them through and sealed it with some special silicone. Somebody recommended it on some discussion board. So the boat was coming right along. So it was time to mount the console, you know, right where it would be comfortable. So I used the existing console and just turned it at an angle to save space, made little stands to raise it up a little, and that seemed to work out. Added back the steering wheel, and here it is. I added all the switches for the lights. I wanted to add some extra lights on top and on the side, and it was time for a test run. So here I am with my dad and my mom, and we're taking out the boat for the first time with the new 40 horsepower Nissan Tohatsu. Boat is running good. Boat runs good, just no reverse. So we gotta fix that. Alright, put the rails in, the seats. Access to gas, battery, access to gas, my gear, put it down, stand on it, put these bars in, and walk around to fix the anchor. Just gotta put one more bar in there. Pretty much done. Pretty much done. Organize the electricals. Pretty much done. So took it out on a maiden spearfishing journey with Joey and Justin, and when I first put it into reverse, the engine sounded like it exploded. And it started making this crazy, terrible noise, like the metal on metal rubbing noise. Took it home and realized that the gearbox had completely exploded, busted up these gears. So I was back to the drawing board. Time to fix that up. Learned how to fix a transmission. Alright, so we just spent about 3 weeks rebuilding the transmission on the motor so it wouldn't go into reverse, and
when I jammed it in, it exploded the bearing, the drive shaft bearing. So we're about to test it out. Hopefully it all goes well. Let's see how it goes. I forgot the key. I got it. All right, we're in neutral. It's working in neutral. Wait for my dad to go pee, and then we'll put it in reverse and see if we can reverse. sounds silly. Spent 3 weeks trying to get reverse work. We'll see if it works. Going backwards. Wow. Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome, bud. It ain't done yet.
I know.
It went in pretty easily, though.
How do those trim tabs look?
They went down. Not super loud, but they went down, yeah.
All right, next we got to test if it goes in forward.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going in forward.
We're only allowed to go 5 miles an hour all the way out, yeah. No way.
At least we're going.
Yeah. Speed and power.
At least the thing kind of works so far.
It just feels great out here.
Yeah.
Whisper tail on that. Pretty good. The weight is nice.
So we got the reverse working and the boat was planing. Of course, there's more challenges. The boat won't fit into the garage because the pilot house is too tall. So we came up with this contraption using skateboard wheels and put them onto a aluminum, kind of like a U-shaped wedge. And here you can see me mounting it to the bottom of the axle, taking the tires off, and that allowed it to slide into the garage. Kind of a pain in the ass, but hey, had to do what I had to do to make this thing fit. With the boat, I always like to have a backup motor. Here's a 5 horsepower kicker motor. And we took it Christmas, cruising with the dogs and my parents and Megan. And all sorts of problems. The bunks were rubbing against the keel, scratching it all up. So I had to fix that. And had to clean out the carbs because it was starting to bog down the motor. Just little things that always happen with the boat. But one main thing was, I was getting tired of the weight in the back not allowing the boat to plane very quickly. It would take sometimes 15 seconds for it to plane. So started experimenting with, instead of having the 5 horsepower kicker motor, I first tried using this drill prop, and it's kind of funny. You attach this thing to a electric drill. It's got a propeller on the end, and it spins the prop. But maybe for a kayak or something that would work, but not for this boat. I mean, it spun us in a circle, and we were maybe going like a half a mile per hour, but definitely not something I want to rely on in an emergency.
Oh, we are, huh? Twisting around.
Could be the surge, hard to tell.
Let's try it again at the harbor.
Eventually decided to settle on a trolling motor, and at first I mounted to the side so that I could fold back behind the seat, and I got this big buoy so that when I docked it, it would stick out beyond the trolling motor and not damage it. And I thought that was a pretty cool solution, but the problem is when we were going, especially when there were waves and it was choppy, the waves would catch that trolling motor and it would just dump water all up into the boat, and I had to keep the bilge pump constantly going. So I decided to build this bracket out of wood in the back that I can mount the trolling motor onto. That way it would be mounted on the back, but it could still fold up behind my seat and stay out of the way. And this is a setup I kept using. experimented with, different setups, always trying to get the boat to plane out faster. Experimented with adjusting the height of the motor, and here I eventually bought a power tilt and trim unit from CMC Machines, aftermarket tilt and trim, since this motor never came with one, and that actually really helped. I can now adjust the trim, as I'm starting to go and as I'm going, and raising the motor really helped as well. The problem is it weighs like 25 pounds, and it reduced the time to plane from 15 seconds to maybe 10 seconds, but it was still a little bit slow, but it was good enough at the moment, with 3 divers, all our weight gear, our weight belts, our spear guns, fins, all our gear. So pretty stoked on that.
Installation complete.
But it was kind of starting to become evident that I need to do something else to, get the boat working the way I wanted it to work.
Wow. I hope not. Awesome.
Eventually experimented with adding a bimini, but that ended up being not really worthwhile. Ended up just using umbrellas instead. But this, I ended up changing from lead acid batteries to lithium batteries, and that reduced the weight significantly. This 39-pound battery, my starter battery, was now a 5-pound battery. And I just bought some like higher capacity batteries so that I could run all my electronics and the trolling motor. I connected them in parallel so that I could run the trolling motor for over an hour if I had to run it at full speed, or probably like 2 hours if I ran it at 3/4 speed. Well, I probably wouldn't push it that hard, but it was a solution to get us home if we got stuck out in Breakwall off of Long Beach to the boat launch, since that trolling motor could push us around, I don't know, 5 miles an hour probably at full speed. So the lithium batteries really help save a lot of weight in the boat. Highly recommend that to anybody who's trying to save weight, especially on a small boat like a 13 whaler. Finally finished installing those batteries. Took me forever. I had to carve out the little seat to make this fit properly. And I'll hinge it once it's all ready, but for now got all the lights fixed on my boat. Finally rewired this guy through the gunnel and drilled a hole. Another day on the water, except this time we're gonna try to get some crabs. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I bought some lobster pots, so I figured we could drop those pots while we went diving for lobster. And we're getting some, good lobsters and getting some good fish. But the problem was the weight of the lobster pots now are weighing down the boat as well. So I tried this hydrofoil, the Dolphin, that was, either highly recommended or highly not recommended online. For this boat, it worked really well with 3 people or dive gear, but no lobster pots. We were able to get on a plane real fast now, like 5 seconds, which originally this is all I wanted. But since I started buying all the lobster pots now, I needed something even more. So right now I'm in the process of working on a 70 horsepower motor to put onto the boat. But in the meantime, I actually figured out how to fit the boat in without taking the tires off, remounted the seat onto a bench so that it wouldn't strip out the fiberglass off the bottom of the boat. But yeah, it's been a great experience, and been getting a lot of fish and making a lot of good memories.
Joey's Fish. Got some 2 sheep's head. Fresh coffee. Watch this pour.
And
Oh yeah.
Joey's pouring me some coffee because I'm freezing my ass off. Oh, thank you.
High quality coffee.
Oh, it's
Black.
fogging up. Matt's captaining the boat.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, time to get some lobsters. Do it.